Hi students, right now we've been working with these trig values and I want to do a little clarification for those of you who feel like you need it. So the first thing I want you to see that here, the chart in the book shows you that sine of t being some angle is y, cosine of t is x, but we already know that. For instance, on this number 3, if I were to say to you, what's the sine of this theta? You would say this, -5/13. What's the cosine of theta? It's that value. So you already know that. But even more importantly, I think, is this chart right here. So make sure you have this and you've memorized it. And let's do a little work with our calculators. A lot of people think just because they can use a calculator, they can't make a mistake. But you can, and here's how. If you don't realize when to be in degree mode, on the first and the third one, they're in degrees, because it says degree. On the second and fourth, it's radians because there's no degree sign. Even on number 4, you don't see pi, but obviously they've rounded or something, and there is 4 radians. It means 4 radiuses around the circle. So let's do the first one, cosine of 50. Make sure that you are in degree mode, and I get 0.64. So make sure that you can do the same thing with your calculator. Go to the nearest hundredth unless otherwise specified. On secant of 22, this is different. Secant means 1 over cosine. There is no secant button on your calculator, so you'll actually do 1 divided by the cosine of 22, and you'll get 1.07. I'm sorry, 1.08 to the nearest hundredth. So those are my two values to the nearest hundredth. Make sure you understand that secant partners with cosine, cosecant with sine, and cotangent with tangent. Okay, on these, I got to change my mode to radians and then proceed. The cotangent is going to be 1 divided by the tangent. And your calculator, when you hit tangent, it's going to open the parentheses for you. And you can do the pi divided by 3. We do not use 3.14. We use the pi button. And you're going to get 0.577, so 0.58 to the nearest hundredth. And the cotangent of 4 is 1 divided by the tangent. And that's going to be 0.86. Now, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed that cosine and sine can never be greater than 1, which hopefully you understand why. Because the sine and the cosine always has a hypotenuse in the denominator. And the denominator, if it's bigger than the numerator, then your value is less than 1. So cosine and sine can never be greater than 1, but the secant and the cosecant can be. Okay, I want to do a few more. Suppose you're told to find the cotangent of pi over 3. Step 1, go to pi over 3, which is right here. Now the tangent is, of course, the y divided by x, but the cotangent is the x divided by y, so it's actually 1/2 divided by root 3 over 2. But here's the deal. With all these, they all have a 2 as a denominator. So 1/2 divided by root 3 over 2 is the same thing as saying 1/2 times 2 over root 3, which means those are going to cancel. It's just 1 divided by root 3. So please know if you're dividing, you have complex fraction, and they both have the same denominator. For this reason here, you can go ahead and scratch those. It's 1 divided by root 3. But you must rationalize that. And that looks like root 3 over 3. So that is a cotangent of pi over 3. For the secant of -5 pi over 3, if it was positive 5 pi over 3, it would be right here, this -60, right? It'd be the 60 degrees. So just think, to go the other way is going to bring you right here at pi over 3. So the secant is going to be the reciprocal of the cosine. So it is going to be 2. For the tangent of 4 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3 is right here, and the tangent means you're going to take the sine, oh great, The sign is negative root 3 over 2 divided by negative 1/2. Well, I already know this. A negative divided by negative is going to be positive, which makes sense because it's my slope and it's positive right there. I can go ahead and get rid of that, and it's going to be the square root of 3. Okay, because of low battery, I'm going to hurry up, but here's the deal. Let's say that you're told to find the 6 trig values given a point. So let's say that the point is, I don't know, 18, negative, let me make it smaller, so negative 8, 9. Okay, so step 1 is to graph it. And negative 8 goes down here, and 9 is here. So that means you create your triangle. This is negative 8, and this is 9. You're going to have to find that third side. You've got to find using Pythagorean theorem. So you do 8 squared and 9 squared, and you get, is that 145? Okay, and sadly, 145 does not simplify. So when you do your SOHCAHTOA, and then cosecant theta, secant theta, cotangent theta. So the sine of theta, theta is always attached right here. So it is opposite over hypotenuse, 9 over root 145. I go ahead and reciprocal that before I rationalize it. And now when I simplify it, I'll get 9 root 145 over 145. The cosine is going to be negative 8 over root 145, which means negative root 145 over 8. Notice I put the numerator is negative, not the denominator. And this is, of course, negative 8 root 145 over 145. And the tangent is going to be negative 9 over 8, negative 8 over 9. I'm going to check to make sure my negatives are right. Oh gosh. All students, so the only thing that's positive is a sign and his partner. Everything else is negative. As you can see, I'm out of battery. You guys take care.